That's fantastic. Okay, thank you, recording. If anything else, I'm hoping you will let me know in the chat if it's okay for you, the information or anything else. So let me see if this works. This is a little bit about me. Oh, I remember. I had something in mind and didn't record. If anyone needs or wants this presentation, please let us know in the chat. You can give us your email address and I will personally give it to you. And my colleagues also will be there for that task. So this is a little bit about me. What do I like to do? What do I love to do is actually supporting this leading change processes for individuals, for managers, and for organizations. Okay, because there's a lot of processes in between, and most of it I like to have results with my partners, with my partners in thinking. So this is a little bit about me. If you have any questions about me, please let me know, or just follow my website for the presentation that I have it on the Chamber's website. So let's move on. What I'm inviting you to when speaking about communication, how to communicate efficiently with a remote team. Okay, so I'm inviting you again to point out a specific communication struggle that you had or you have nowadays. Okay, so let's see if we can find a solution when we will go through the information that I will give to you today. So please point out if you have any struggle or a challenge regarding communication nowadays, please write it down as a focus point. Okay. I've always loved this invitation. Don't bring topics into conversation, but bring people in the trustful space of communication. Okay, so have this in mind, and we will talk about this specific trust space. Okay, how do you build it? How do you manage it in order for your communication to be more efficient in the minutes that I will follow? And besides the focus point of your personal experience, of your personal challenge that you have, I'm inviting you, what else would it be important for you to take out of this webinar? And I would like to have the conversation. Okay, Ilana, thank you. Thank you, Delia. Okay. Please take 5 seconds to point out your communication struggle. And what else would you like to take up from the webinar? Okay. I've told you, I want to involve you. I want you to leave this this webinar much richer than when you came in. Okay, great, fantastic. Communication. Communication is much more than we need to talk, I need to tell you. It's much more than an exchange of words. And I want to give communication a context, not a bullet point of what you can take out of this webinar. I want to give you a context where communication needs to be efficient, and how does it reach this point of being efficient. So let's talk about communication, and the best in the best context that we have, not the best as in experience, not the best because there's a lot of compassion that needs to be trained and coached this period. Let's talk about communication in the context of what are we going through this past 2 years, almost 2 years, and maybe a little bit more, because the idea of remote team and remote leadership, okay, remote work, actually flourish in between pandemic, and this is why we have how to communicate efficiently with a remote team. Okay, so let's talk about communication in the context of the changes that pandemic brought. Okay, so this is a bigger context. In that context, I will invite you to think about communication as a tool and as a resource, and let's see how can we manage that. First of all, communication is a tool and a process. Okay, communication is not just exchanging words. I'm inviting you to look at communication as a process. And if you take anything, just one thing out of the what does it mean to be that communication is a process, I'm inviting you to take out the active listening. Active listening means I'm not only hearing your words or your information, I'm hearing the tone, the body language, the emotion, how you talk about the environment, okay? How did you choose to show up into the conversation with me? What are your unexpressed needs or expectations? So who are you behind the words that you are giving me, and who am I behind the words of what I'm giving to you? So communication, it's a much more complex process than just we need to talk, I need to tell you. I hope this is clear for you. I'm sure a little bit it is, maybe a lot, okay? But think about this this beautiful tool that we have as a process. It's not just about exchanging words. And you will see in the minutes that that we have together what am I talking about. Second, you cannot, I'm inviting you to not separate communications from relationships. Okay? It's a tool to build relationships. And relationships, many of them, thinking about economic entities, many of the relationships, we would like them to turn into partnerships. And partnerships bring synergy. Okay? And synergy brings results. Does it make sense to you? Okay? Just reflect a little bit. Just reflect. Okay? So communication, don't split it from relationships. The third point that I would like to address right now is that communication, it's about why do we have this conversation? What do we need to address into this conversation? How am I going to have this conversation? You need to keep this in mind, especially when you are managing a remote team, okay? Because otherwise it will turn into a social conversation or unstructured dialogue, okay? So why do we have this conversation? And it's a leadership, coming from leadership mindset and the necessity of communication. Because, as I told you before, communication is a management tool. beside being a process, beside being the tool for building relationships, okay? Communication, it's a management tool. And it will be much more addressed in the what questions, or the what self-reflective questions. What am I doing? What do I need to do more? What do I need to do less? What is working? What is not working? Okay. So imagine this kind of questions in the feedback of given information. Okay. How do I have this conversation with you? So we have classics. Okay. So we have the phone, the video support, just like right now. Okay. We have maybe face-to-face from time to time. And I'm encouraging you to have this face-to-face conversation from time to time, because it's a moment when we build actually relationships, when people get close to one another. Okay. So the technical support is how am I getting in touch with you. Okay. I will explain a little bit more what does the meaning of the communication and the necessity of the communication in the following, because it is a different approach. So I've told you that we're going to consider the communication in the context of a change. And I don't want to give you a lot of information right now, but just keep this information that you're seeing on the screen close to you. So when change happens, deliberate or forced, there is a natural resistance to it. There's natural for us to be resistant to change, okay? Because it involves effort. If we don't like effort, and most of it creates uncertainty for us. We don't know what to do. Being outside of our habitual way of doing things, we are uncertain of what's going to happen next. And I will address something now. When pandemic came, it was not only about the uncertainty of economics. It was the uncertainty of the personal, on the personal side of life. So we felt as individual threatened, okay? So there was more than just professional uncertainty, it was also on the personal side uncertainty. And this is why we need to address this. As leaders, as managers, we need to address uncertainty and actually turn this context into a change. And I did quote John Cotter from Leading Change, from his book from 1995, which for me it's still very present in its information. When we talk about successful transformations, it's much more about leadership than management. And think about it a little. Because leadership keeps people in the present, but we turn to management as a tool to cope. When crisis came, most of the organization, and I know, tried to cope with the costs. What does this change means in the sense of how much it will cost us. I had a few companies who thought about how we can lead this change. How can we protect our customers and our team for us to move forward through this crisis? But management, it's much easier to understand because it has numbers. It is analytical. Okay. So let's come again to the idea of leading change. And what is communication all about? What is the communication point of view about leading change? What does leading change? And maybe it's not news to you, but I'm giving you again in this context of the webinar. Leading change means considering this change, whatever change happens, whatever change means, understanding this change as a resource. And a resource to create a new vision that includes the benefit of the change. So we change focus in the most compassionate way from what's costing us, how much does it cost us this crisis, to how can we incorporate this change as a resource in our leadership mindset and management operations, okay, to create a new vision. In a second, what is that communication have to do with all that? I'm giving you 1 minute space to reflect. Go back to when pandemic struck, when pandemic came, when lockdown came. Do you have any examples of organizations or companies, okay, or activities that took this side of leading change? If you think about your organization or your team or your clients, if you are a professional, or your clients, okay, what do you think could have been done better then? How can I now consider change as a resource? Okay. Think about the moment that we started this conversation. What does that have to do with your communication struggle right now? Just reflect on it. And I will give you 10 seconds for that. What is communication have to do with the change? Leading change needs collective action that can be blocked by people resistance. If we do not address, as managers or as leaders, we do not address this uncertainty and the feelings involved in this uncertainty, if we will not address it, that means sit down and communicate about it, we will have a resistance in our team, close team or remote team, doesn't even matter. So my first invitation for you is to address it. Even now, it's not too late. People need, the second step is people need to be told the necessity and benefits of the new vision built on the new resource of change. Okay, so you have to give people opportunity to engage and contribute by involving them into the new vision, explaining them that change is only a resource. I know it's not easy. I know for sure it's not easy. And I'm going to remind you again, it takes effort, okay? And if we want to communicate efficiently, we will have to talk about emotions, numbers, operations, impact, clear and simple. That means number, it's from management point of view. Emotions, it's from leadership. Operation, it's management. Impact, it's leadership. Clear and simple, it's human. Okay. So this kind of communication, when you are talking with your team, having this process of communication in mind with these details creates momentum and a sense of certainty. Okay, and this is a good place to be with your team. Again, management offers strategy and what needs to be done, how the things need to be done in order to achieve the new vision. And this needs to be addressed, needs to be communicated clear, simple, in number, emotions, operation, impact. Okay, to your team. No matter if your team is your colleague on the desk or a remote team. Leadership and leadership presence, think about the benefits of the final results. Okay, why do we have to do the things like that? Why do we need to step into uncertainty? Why do we need to communicate in this way in order for us to achieve the new vision? This is the why. I hope it's clear, and I'm more than happy to talk about this mindset of communication actually in a further conversation with you, and you will have all my details in the end. This is the change process. Okay, again, let's put communication into a context, and the context is change. Okay, I'm going to give you a hint a little later after this after this slide, but I'm giving you the process of change. We will not talk about it right now too much, but I'm giving you the context, the process of change in the way, in questions for you to find where are you, your team, your organization, or your clients in this process of change. Okay, so think about this process of change and its steps. Find yourself using the questions offered in each step. I'm going to give you like half a minute. You can answer to this question a little bit. Okay. So if you have your experience in mind, if you pointed out a communication struggle that you have, okay, at least one of these questions will hit you, will become personal, will create an emotional reaction, or it will trigger your attention in some way. So think about these questions, follow them after this webinar, okay? So you can find yourself, where are you in this process of change? Because we are in the process of change, okay? And now reflect. Looking at these stages, What can you consider now a necessary improvement? Because my hint to you, we now have a global change. Of course, it's the context of pandemic, but an economic entity in its life, there is always change. Maybe some operations are the same, but change, it's a present fact. Think about accounting. Operations in accounting department are the same, but the numbers are never the same. The numbers are always changing. So this is actually the mindset, that the point of view that you need to look at or from when you think about a process of change, and how do I always need to address the communication needs. Because vision is always building on. Then I'm not going to stay too much on it, but if you answer to your questions, if you answer to these questions that I have given you in the slide, that's fantastic. Where you can go in a much more specific situation, if you want to discover what is your communication struggle, maybe you know it, maybe you don't know. Look in your organization and team and point out where are the results not met. And I will assure you that there you'll find poor, lack of, unclear, broken, abusive, okay, too bureaucratic, not all stage suitable, and skilled communication. Okay, so that's a hint where there's lack of communication or poor of it, where you don't have results. I hope it makes sense to you and it's not too generic. Okay, but of course we can talk about it after this webinar or in the Q&A side. Okay, so look at where are the results not met yet, and you will find lack of communication. Okay, all in the context of the life and process of an economic entity. Let's move on. I gave you some key points when I was inviting you to this webinar. I will keep in mind, I'm going to invite you to keep in mind the necessity and the meaning of communication. Okay, so let's begin to answer this question with, again, the reminder that I'm inviting you to get involved and think about a specific situation in order for you to take out the tower, sorry for the mistake, to take out most valuable information for you. Okay, so let's answer this question. After all the given information, I hope it's clear for you that what you need to foster when managing remotely or in your proximity, it's relationship. You need to foster relationship. Okay. What's the mindset of a manager when leading a remote team? I haven't stuck on specific remote team. I gave it a brighter perspective. So a manager is responsible for a system of operation, managing resources and team dynamics. The mindset of a manager means I am building, I am mastering, I am achieving, I am embracing, I am focusing on. Most of you know, this is another a very beautiful process of how to build a team, because I'm going back to relationships. It's actually you're building a team for that the team to have the results, some specific results. So my mindset as a manager is building, mastering, achieving, embracing, focusing on building a team and the system of operation and the resources involved and team dynamics when building this team. Okay. It will become clearer. When we talk about accountability from the communication point of view, accountability in your team, the remote team, it relies on specific communication, specific outcomes. That means understanding that everyone in your team understands the vision and the strategy that we are building on. Does everyone has clear responsibilities? Did you as a manager communicate it clear and simple in number, emotions, impact, okay? The smart outcomes that I need from you. The specific, measurable, okay, achievable, and in the context of time. Does this partner from my team has the competencies to achieve this outcome? Do I need to delegate or do I need to partner this person with another colleague? Feedback on the process. Again, communication is essential because how do you find this information? What is clear, what is unclear for you about your responsibilities right now? Okay, how can I help? How can I support? And then trust them and let them do the job and feedback them or get the results after that in the time frame that you decide together. Okay, we will talk about mistakes in a little bit, but I want to go back to relationships. How do we foster? What do we need to foster in order to have a good relationship for this system that I am managing remotely or closely to work, to have the results that we need to achieve? I gave you in the beginning of the webinar, don't bring topic into the conversation, bring people into the trustful space of communication. And this is how you build, this is how, thank you, Anna. This is how you build trust and you building relationships into, okay, relationship, partnerships, synergy, okay, and results. This is the way you need to do it. And you need to, as a manager, if you are a manager or you assist a manager in being better, okay, you need to get him involved, first of all, in this mindset of communication. It's not about just we are talking, we exchange words. It's the meaning of communications, okay? And what needs to be addressed? How can I address it? I hope it gives you a hint. I hope it gives you structure. Again, this is there's a lot of information put it on the table, but we can digest, and please digest this information in slides or in slices. Okay, acknowledgement, mentoring, social meetings. How can I do that in my team? What needs to be done in order to have a trustful space for us to work together and achieve results together? I've gathered this most common mistakes when communicating with a remote team and the communication strategy, because actually the strategy, after having in mind all the communication details, what do I need to address? Why do I need to address it? How is the best possible way to address the communication or the topics? Now I think about my communication strategy. And this is in the end, okay? Mistakes. What are the most common mistakes I've seen? And this is not only in pandemic time, because it was the context that we talked about. The biggest mistakes as a manager or when leading a team, micromanagement kills every time, slowly, but surely, okay? Think about accountability. Does my team have clear roles, clear outcome, clear understanding of vision, strategy, and everything? Okay, so let them do the job. Don't micromanagement, because you will kill your people. Or being a boss. In communication, we are talking like this. I am the boss, you are whoever you are. So the communication, if it is like so, you will kill your people and you will kill, okay, your team. And how do you show up in your meetings is another key point. And I will give you an example of what happened in one of my executive coaching sessions last week. I had I had one of my clients telling me these words. I wanted to address something to my manager. I had an idea of how we can do this more with a better result. But when we opened the communication platform, he had two questions for us. What are you praising about? What are you complaining about? And this killed everything in me. And I said, I don't care. I will do my job and that's it. I don't care about engaging in or getting involved with new ideas and new solutions, because this kind of mindset and addressing this kind of communication put me out from the conversation, actually. Okay, so have in mind these mistakes, very common mistakes. Okay, I'm not saying that managers do their best because they have boards above them. Okay, so they are also under pressure. I'm a manager, I know my pressure. Okay, I've tried, I'm trying to stay in the moment and see what do I need to address for my team. What does my team need from me? What do I need from my team in order to reach the result? Fail to foster relationships is another very common mistake. We don't build trust. and is the foundation of our working together. Being the absent manager, I don't care. I will see you in 1 month. Where are you? I'm not answering the phone. Deal with it. Okay, that's another situation. Fail to communicate clear and specific. Train yourself, coach yourself to speak as clear and specific, and ask for feedback. How did my message, how did my message got to you? Okay, this is an open question for you to understand what did the other one understood from the conversation. Fail to train leadership presence. Leadership means moving, influencing systems. Managing means moving operations within a system. Leadership means seeing in front of what's happening right now. Okay, managing means stepping into the strategy. You need to be both. So train yourself to be both a good manager, okay? So a person who holds the system of operation, resources, and team dynamics, and go also and train leadership presence. Sometimes not understanding our own responsibilities, the what and the how, according to the vision, for us as a manager, we don't know how to address that, how to communicate that with our team. If we don't know it for ourselves, okay, we cannot move forward or expand the message, okay, the meaning to our team. I hope this one also helped you. I hope that you found valuable information here. The communication strategy has it's very structured, as in what needs to happen, how, okay, how am I getting in touch with my team? What should be communicated in person or in group? Okay, in live. What should be written? And think about how can you manage the documents. Okay, you need to talk with your team or your board. How can you manage this written information? What needs to stay on a long run? What needs to be addressed right now and in the person? When is the best time to connect with my team? When is the best time to do it one-on-one or in groups? What needs to be done in order to track the operation flow? And have a structure, build a structure for every team, for every meeting. Okay, we will start with why do we have this meeting? What needs to be addressed right now? How can we address this in the most clear and simple way? My last question was coaching and counseling support. I'm inviting you again to think about what are the results not met in your team, your organization, or your clients, and invite them to think about counseling, because counseling is necessary when addressing feelings attached to uncertainty. And because we have uncertainty from wave to wave, it needs to be addressed every time. And it's not always about the professional side of the uncertainty, it's also the personal side of the uncertainty. And actually this one builds relationships in the long run. Coaching, it's a growing opportunity for all the stages, all the life stages of an economic identity. And for me, everybody should do its job. Your team and managers should focus on their responsibilities. And we as a professionals, okay, we need to focus and address how we can bring out the best in them. So these are just a few facts, and where coaching can help you in your activity and in your economic life, let's say like so. Okay. Again, okay. So we have 8 minutes left. Thank you for being understanding. I've told you that there was a lot of information because I wanted to give you a context, not just bullet points. And I wanted to give you involved in this, I wanted to be a learning experience actually, okay, and growing experience, not just, again, bullet points. So what are you taking away from this meeting? I would like to know. If you can share, I would be grateful. And most of all, how will you use this information? Okay, so we have 2 questions. What would a good strategy be when it comes to communicate, collaborate with extroverts? Okay, bring them together and have an education, have an open discussion about what means to be extrovert, what means to be introvert, how they can actually help each other, and how can you use it's very common, this question, Petronella, thank you for asking. How can we, when we use both sides' abilities, actually, to build a common purpose? Okay, so we need that. First of all, we need education. What does it mean to be extrovert? What does it mean to be introvert? How it's not each of every one of them thinks that the other one is broken, actually, and we need to to split to dissolve this this mindset and get them together in pairs and have them direct their attention to a common purpose, a common goal, let's say it like so. I hope I answered your question briefly, but we can have a talk about it for sure. Hello, thank you for the insightful experience. Thank you also, Ivana. I would like to ask a question related to trust. First of all, I love the trust. Okay, I really like the meaning of trust in the present vulnerability without fear. Yes, because we do not open. Just as I've given you the example, I will not talk about what makes me vulnerable, knowing that there will be consequences of our of what I will talk about. How can a manager help employees escape? Well, this is another moment when coaching can be helpful, and also counseling can be helpful. I have in my team some wonderful counselors that embrace all together and bring all together into the topic of what trust means to them and the benefits. Again, it's the benefits of the trust. Why should we build the meaning? Okay, why should what should we build trust, and how is that beneficial to all of us? Actually, we can talk about it, bring all people together and talk about in an open way. Again, like that, the first question, like Petronella's, we need to address it in informative, not training, informative, facilitate bringing people together with the topic that you discover that it's an issue in the team or in the organization. Okay, so this is the first step. It's not a problem, it's a concept that it's understood differently because we are different. Since trust is fostered by human connection, how can we think about the actual pandemic? Well, ask people. If you have time and everyone foster a group, okay, a team. How can human connection, I'm gonna do it like so. Human connection, it's about how can you foster this? Okay, how can you foster this into a remote communication? How can you foster this? Maybe all your answer and I'm not in my briefcase, but just as I had the invitation to get you involved into this learning experience, I'm asking you again, how can you foster human relationships? It's fostering this. Mentoring, acknowledgement, being present, respond without react, addressing uncertainty. Sometimes you don't have to do anything, just to open up and be there, present, embracing, understanding and embracing diversity, being emotionally honesty, okay, integrity and respect. This is how we foster. And people will tell you, when do I need one-to-one? When do I need to address something to a group? You need to have, again, I will show you, just for you to keep it in visual. Anna, bear with me. That was a very good question. Okay. Constructive debate. It's also the space where you manage people showing up with their own beliefs about different topics. Okay. Giving them the opportunity not to be, I'm missing a word, certat. Help me, Anna. Certat in English. Not to be punished for thinking different, but just create enough space for all the people to come with their own mindset and their own way of thinking. We were just about talking before we got into the webinar about groups and what happens in the groups. So group meetings are very good moments to deal with how do we live a different concept. So I would be delighted to stay with you and chat after this information. Again, who wants the presentation? I will be more than happy to give it to you. And I hope we had a good time. I hope it had value to you. Okay, maybe my English was only my English, but please take the information and map it on your experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And I think your English was not a barrier for this learning experience, as you actually mentioned it. And I think we've learned a lot of things that were not mentioned before in other webinars or communication workshops, as we call them. And yes, the questions were very good. Of course, for this kind of question, we always exceed the time of the webinar. So this is no issue at all, never. So I would like to thank the people who asked the questions and also our audience from both Facebook and Zoom for being here today with us. Thank you, Juana, for being such a great panelist today and for sharing with us all this
Thank you.
information. As Juana mentioned, you have her contact details, so feel free to email her or call her anytime to introduce you to this amazing world of counseling or communication.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And regarding,
So sorry, Anna, there was a lot of information, and I know it by far, because there's not less than 5 books I wanted to to pin on, okay, and point out. And we can talk about communication, but have in mind it's a process. It brings partnerships. It needs to have meaning and the necessity of communication. Okay, so that's a wrap it up. And Christiana, please share with us the emails for me to reach out with the presentation. That would be fantastic. She told it to me. That's it.
that means that you have a lot of people wanting your presentation. This is actually great news because it was very insightful indeed. I would also like to thank again everyone for being with us to this webinar and also our offline event. Just so you know, we're going to have another webinar next week. It's called Improving Your Profitability with RPA, Robotic Process Automation, a very discussed topic in the last year. So we hope you will join that as well. I will also copy paste here the link to our events link. So feel free to register there and learn more. Thank you again, everyone, for being here today. We hope this was useful. Just don't forget, this is recorded, so you will be able to find it on both YouTube and our website. Thank you again for being here with us, and have a lovely week and very productive one. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.